Yo, what's happening, people? Welcome to Saeed TV and welcome back to the second podcast episode of Man United Unfiltered. We've got an esteemed panel today with us. We've got a new guest as well, which I'm going to introduce as well. But onto my right, Adam, how are you, mate? Everything okay over there?
Yeah, I'm good, bro. I'm bro. Thank you. How you doing? You good?
Yeah, not too bad, man. Not too bad. You know what I mean? We're living good, man. We're living good. Musa, you say, bro, you in Brixton there?
Yeah, I'm Bricky. We're good. We're good. No complaints, except for you know what.
Yeah, exactly. And also, we've got a new guest on here. Hopefully, he's going to be a regular on the channel. Charlie, how are you, mate?
All good, mate. I hope you're all right, and thanks a lot for having me on.
No, much appreciated, man. You know what I mean? We thought, why not, man? I see you do your thing on Twitter and whatnot, so I thought, let's get you on.
Yeah.
Let's analyze United. And yeah, the title of the video is Bleak Future for Man United. I'm going to start with you off, Charlie, first. Obviously, you see the news this morning today as well. Man United look like they've got full confidence in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. They've backed it up with Mike Phelan getting a new contract. I'm hearing Kieran McKenna and Michael Carrick are also due. Ole's position still remains strong. What do you make of everything going on at the minute at United?
It's all a bit of a mess. I think before the season started, I predicted we wouldn't win any trophies, and that's just not me being pessimistic. I actually didn't think we'd win anything, and that's before Ronaldo came, actually. And even when Ronaldo came, I thought, we might win an FA Cup, a Carabao Cup, but I just thought with this regime, there's no way we can challenge. And I think the first few weeks have sort of proved that. I think people are sort of waiting around. People are saying, "Oh, let the new signings get used to it." It's not going to make any difference. This is going to be what it's going to be like for the whole season, and it's going to get worse as well because Manchester City tend to grow into seasons a lot. Manchester City tend to start a little bit slow, and you could say we started slowly last season and we built into it. But I think we'll struggle with the players with the coaches that we're up against. And in terms of obviously the new contracts, I don't understand it at all. It's not like Carrick and McKenna are going to be signed by anybody else if we don't sign them up. Obviously, they want them to be on the same contracts as Ollie for another 3 years. And I just don't think there's any ambition being shown. I really don't. I think if Ollie wants to save his job, I think he needs to get new coaches in. I don't understand why he's persisting with this Carrick and McKenna, and obviously Phelan doesn't even coach, so I don't really know what Phelan offers. I know he was under Sir Alex, but that's under Sir Alex. It's a completely different thing. This is under Ollie. So yeah, not happy with. I wasn't at all happy with the contracts being given out. And I don't think the board are going to do anything for a long time. I think they're obviously showing their confidence in Ollie, so we're going to have this for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, Adam, it's not looking great at the minute. You know what I mean? It seems like we're rewarding mediocrity at the minute.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, what I mean, you thought they would think about it. After the Europa League final, they gave it the contract. Still after that, what kind of faith has been shown? What are they thinking about? Like, what is?
But the thing I don't understand really is who is giving out these contracts, because we know Ed Woodward is leaving at the end of 2021. So is it Murto and Fletcher who are giving out this contract? Because this just looks to me like friends having other friends back. If you're getting sacked, at least you're getting paid for the next 3 years because you have a contract. This is the way it looks to me, because I'm just if Solskjaer don't perform, he leaves. He will get sacked because this is Manchester United. At some point, it will be too bad for him to stay. And if he leaves, well, the coaching staff will leave because there's absolutely no chance a competent manager keep those people here. That's just not happening. So as Charlie said, it's a bit of a mess. It really is. I don't understand those contract extension. I really don't. The Solskjaer's first contract extension was a disgrace, if you ask me, because as you said, we are rewarding mediocrity. And we have been ever since he got the job as a caretaker. He did, as we said on the last show, he did not deserve the full-time job because he should have at least won the FA Cup or finish in the top 4. He didn't. We gave Harry Maguire the captaincy after few weeks. He did not deserve the captaincy. Marcus Rashford got the number 10 and a massive contract. Did not deserve that at that stage of his career. So we are still going on rewarding failure and mediocrity, as you said.
Mm-hmm. Most of man, you know what I mean. You always look at it, that supervisor role, man. You know what I mean, and that supervisor now is just getting giddy, man. You know, and I feel like, you know, it's you know, you would understand it if there was trophies to come with it, but there's nothing. You know, this at the minute it's just a case of, you know, United are like kind of looking and wanting, and there's a lot of ifs and buts and what if that, you know, and in reality, you know what I mean. I don't see other club in European football that would do this. I don't. I seriously don't. You know, and that's the harsh reality. There isn't a club that would do this.
Yeah, 100%. It's kind of difficult to kind of have any hope with how Oli. And I think the problem with Oli is that as a fan base, we've all wanted Oli to do well. We've all supported him in at the beginning of his tenure at Man United, and a lot of us, even when it's been bang smacking the obvious and in our faces, we've tried our best to say, nah, maybe he can do this. Maybe he just needs to get a right wing. Maybe we need a defender. Maybe it's like there's always another position. And now we're talking about centre mid. But Oli, the reality is with Oli is that I believe as a fan base, we actually got him the job. I think that we got excited because of the torrid time we had with Jose Mourinho. When Oli came in, it was, you know, something new, something different. So we got excited as a fan base and we actually got him the job. So I've been looking back and thinking, when has there been opportunities for Man United to sack Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? Or when was it most likely to happen? Yeah, and I think, but was there a period in the last 2.5 years where Oli was close to getting a sack? And it goes back to Burnley, I think, last season. Or was it the season before? It was the season before, that Burnley game, before we got in, I think, Bruno. And we was like, Oli was gone. I remember we was talking to Poch or something like that, and I think Oli was going to get the sack. And I just feel like with fans being in the stadium, like as much as the Glazers want to go on about, you know, it's about having this consistency of having someone in there who, Oli's a yes man. He's never said a bad word about the Glazers family. He's never said a bad word. So they know they're comfortable with him at the helm. But with Oli playing this football and the fans being in the stadium, if the Man United fans start just being upset and, you know what I'm saying, the groans start going around the stadium, or to the point they start singing songs about he's not fit to be the manager, bro, it's going to be difficult for him to keep the job. Because I think our owners are only really worried about themselves. And Ollie's going to learn out very soon how these owners only really care about how they look like in the media. If it gets to the point where the owners are thinking, hold on, by us keeping Ollie, it's making us look like we don't know what we're doing. We've got someone in a position who isn't fit to be in the job. And we've got the fan base now worrying about what's in our bank accounts rather than the football on the pitch. I think they will make a quick decision. And I think they want it to be all about the football rather than how much money they're taking at the club and how they're taking liberties. And I think with Ollie being in power or Ollie being the manager, it allows us to also start saying, hold on, who's keeping Ollie here? And then we start getting back onto the owners. And the owners, they just want all the attention on the playing field. They don't want it on them. So I think it's on us. But again, it's results, isn't it? And I think the problem with Ollie is that Ollie has proven in the last 2.5 years, when the results matter to keep his job, he
finds a way.
He finds a way. So it becomes difficult for us to have something to really argue about as a fan base, because they start to say, well, he beat City, he beat Liverpool, or he beat this team, and then it starts becoming difficult for us to prove our point, even though if you look at the stats and you look at where we are and what we've actually done, he's been backed more than any other manager. He's been at the club, I believe, longer now than any other manager, and he's the only one who hasn't got a trophy to show for it at the end of this period of time. When we're looking at, you know, Louis van Gaal, we look at Jose Mourinho, Ollie's the only person who's been here for this long and been backed like
and no
how he has been back, and he's got nothing to show for it. So at the end of the day, all this finishing third and second. All right, cool, we get it, and we've played football that's been better than, you know, previous manager. But at the same time, what have you actually won? What have you added to that trophy cabinet that you talk about so much? You know what I'm trying to say? And I feel like looking at Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, the problem he has as well with that is that he's had 2 great opportunities to add to that. Remember, it's not just we lost in the final last year, it's how we lost the semi-final the year before that. Exactly. You know what I'm trying to say? So he's had great opportunities to add to that, and he's failed both times. So for me, I'm just waiting for this next 2 months to get over the line with these next 2 months and the fixtures that we've got. And I believe if we're 9 points off the top come Christmas and the fans are in that stadium and he's playing that McFred football, it's going to be on top for him. I believe that's what I think.
Yeah. You know, Charlie, when we talk about it, you know, Musa's talking about the cycle. You know what I mean? It just feels like for me, it's like it's repeat. You know, you go on a win run, then everyone says, "Oh, look, Ollie's doing well," and you know, I mean, why did you doubt him? And then we have maybe a kind of a loss to Burnley away, and then it's like, bloody hell, what's going on here? No style of play. It's almost like you know what I mean? It's a repeated cycle that just is never ever going to change, and it will never bring consistency. You will never win titles with that. So, you know, I mean, do the Glazers look at it and think, you know what? We'll always have that time where the fans will come back on our side. They'll come back. Don't worry. You know.
Well, I think you're right. And the thing is, adding Ronaldo, Varane and Sancho makes this cycle a little bit more extreme, I think, because we probably will beat some good teams with those players. And I think we will win some games and we will go on winning runs. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens the next couple of months, because the fixtures that we've got are...
Can he survive, do you reckon? They're horrible fixtures, you know.
The thing is, McTominay and Fred play 99% of the sort of fixtures we're going to play, but you cannot every 3-4 days you cannot be playing McTominay and Fred, like in terms of, even if you like them, which I know not many people do, even if you like them in terms of fitness, in terms of, you know, you want players that are ready and sharp. So he's going to have to play Matic at some point. He's going to have to play Matic or Van der Beek. He has to, else the players are just going to run into the ground and get injured. And we know Fred's going to probably miss the Leicester game, I think, isn't he? Because he's got a fixture for Brazil a couple of days the day before. So if he plays Matic more and Van der Beek, I think we will win a few of those games. I think it will make a big difference. Obviously, we can talk about the system and everything, but I think as long as he's in the top 4 at Christmas, he's not going to get sacked.
Which is crazy, because it's not this is not a top 4 team. This is a title winning team that can win the title. You know,
exactly. I think a couple more additions. I think with a world class manager, we'd definitely be up there in terms of challenging, possibly win it. But I think to make us favourites, I think you're looking perhaps obviously at a midfielder, a right back, and a striker, possible too when Ronaldo leaves. But yeah, this squad. What I'm disappointed about most is the cup competitions. You know, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer finishing 3rd and 2nd. I don't think any of us expected him to do more. I know last season we should have held a title challenge better than we did, definitely. Right, we definitely fell off too quickly. Right, but second place last season was not a disaster for Man United. Like, none of us expected more. We could have been closer to City, but none of us expected more. What I'm disappointed with is the cup competitions. And the reason why we do so poorly in those is because those are the games he has to rotate. And when he has to rotate different sorts of players, the system or the lack of system or whatever he uses, whatever you want to say, doesn't suit those players that come in. And because they play so few games, when they do come in, they're not fit, they're not ready, they're not used to the combination play. That's why we do so badly in the cups. So that's what I think. That's the key thing for me. I think Musa made a good point about the semi-final against Sevilla as well. You know, in the Europa League, I think we all know none of us expect Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to have won a title at this point. But what we expect is to have at least 2 trophies under his belt. That's what we would all expect. Is, you know, with the squad that we had last season, the season before, a world-class manager may have made us challenge, but we were not at all favourites to win it. And I don't think we would have been even with a better manager. I think it's more the cup competitions, going out the Champions League, losing the semi-finals, losing to inferior sides. That's what really annoyed me. But obviously with the players that we got this season, he has to challenge. But as I said, the Glazers ain't going to do anything. As long as we're in the top 4, they're happy.
Yeah. it's a sad reality, isn't it, Adam? When you look at it, because for me, I just don't see the style of change improving. And the worst thing about it all, Adam, is that he's confident in Mike Phelan and Michael Carrick and Kieran McKenna. That's for me the most damning out of all. Is that he's confident in these lot to do it. Don't get me wrong. If he said to me, you know, I'm going to bring in the best coaches, maybe I'd be like, you know what? Well, we're going to have to see what's going to happen in it. You know what I mean? Even though he's not my manager, we have to see, because at the end of the day, he's got help now. But he doesn't want help, Adam. And that's the...
Again, Saeed, we know that Carrick and McKenna are incompetent. We can see it. And the fact that he can't recognize their incompetence, it just tells you that he wouldn't be able to get someone better than them. You just look at the captain he picked. A captain that just doesn't have the personality of the captain, nothing. So you cannot expect someone like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to have a captain like Roy Keane. He will get eaten. So you can't. You get the people that look like you, almost similar to you. So of course Carrick and McKenna are staying in a job, because you cannot expect Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to have working under him someone like Nagelsmann, someone like Poch, someone like Tu. It just doesn't make any sense. Football has changed, and they just take a look at Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. If he wasn't an ex-United player and an iconic player, we would never, ever have this conversation about him getting better managers to work with him. If we had Jose Mourinho and we were not happy with the style of play, we would never say he needs to go get someone to play attacking football to work on. No one says that ever. It's just because it's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And because we have a past relationship with him, he's an ex-player, this, that. So we say, oh, maybe if he gets someone tactical in his coaching staff, maybe we would see better football. But this is just not a conversation anybody has about any manager in the rest of the European football. You get top managers as the main managers. They don't work for someone else because you like that someone else. It doesn't make any sense at all. And look, Carrick and McKenna, their first team experience is under Jose Mourinho. Yeah. Jose Mourinho's preferred formation is the 4-2-3-1. Jose Mourinho is more defensive, but he knows, or at least he knew how to defend and set up his team. That was his style of play. So you can agree or disagree with negative defensive football, but if it's done well, that's effective, and that's the way it is. Solskjaer doesn't know how to defend, and Carrick and McKenna are too inexperienced to know how to defend, and they use the same thing they have learned under Jose. So why people say the football we have under Solskjaer is so similar to Jose Mourinho's football? The same people are there.
Yeah, and he don't coach as well, Ollie. Exactly. So then he's leaving it to McKenna to do it.
Exactly. The only first team experience of Carrick and McKenna is under Jose Mourinho. So they will play what Jose Mourinho told them, what they learned under Jose. So the 4-2-3-1, they play two pivot. This is exactly what they are going to do, but they're not going to have that extra defensive shape or structure they used to have with Jose and Rui Faria, because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer doesn't have a clue about it. He really just doesn't. And going back to what you were saying, I think if we go out of the group stage, he might get sacked. This is what I think might be a breaking point, because this is a lot of money for the Glazers that they won't be getting because of the Champions League. And I think it's an easy group. It's not that easy of a group, but it is a group in which we should.
Make it look easy. We make it look easy. That's why.
We should.
It's one of the easiest out there. I don't even know. Like none of those teams are in there are thought to even be making it into where the semis or the finals.
A very strong team. Atalanta, they smashed PSG. They scored like 4 goals last season, and they almost knocked PSG out of the Champions League last season in the round of 16 or something like that. But we can go through, and Atalanta can go through. But if we don't go through in the Champions League, that I think might be the end for Solskjaer.
It's bad, isn't it, Musa? Where we're thinking about things that are negative, because it's a reality. It's like I don't know if United can push on. It's almost as if now all these limitations are that it's always we're just getting by. We're just about scraping top 4. Because I just don't think last season was a season where Charlie talked about the second, but there was a lot of kind of factors to that. Liverpool losing a lot of players, Man City obviously not being them. Obviously they won the title, but they had a bad start to the season. Chelsea obviously new manager at that time. Right now everyone's on a level playing field, if not they're ahead of us, but we've still got the players there. I'm just wondering. I know Charlie says that. you know, as long as they get top 4. But is it really as long as they get top 4? I'm thinking that they give you Ronaldo on a plate, they give you Sancho. They expect more than just scraping.
Yeah, no, we need to win a trophy this year. I think Ollie's had, like Charlie was saying before, if Ollie had 2 Europa League trophies in his back pocket, this would be a different conversation, because the media always support Ollie anyway to some extent. So they will be talking about he's won 2 European trophies. Yeah, it's not the Champions League, but come on, like he's the most successful manager since Alex Ferguson. We'll be getting all of that if he had won 2 back-to-back Europa Leagues. We would never be able to get rid of him. But the fact that he's been in those positions and he hasn't won, I think Man United need a trophy. We cannot go another season without a trophy. And I feel like with the amount of money that he spent, and like I was watching parts of you and Noradin's conversation on the podcast, and you guys spoke about, you know, Ronaldo in the Europa League. Is this what Ollie's going to do?
Absolutely.
Ollie's bringing Ronaldo, Cavani, Varane, all of them, and Pogba to the Europa League. This is just not on. You know what I'm trying to say? I think it's just shocking. So for me, Ollie has to go through the next stage of the Champions League. He has to. If we lose our next game in Europe, flipping it, it's just, I don't know what's going to happen. But he needs to go through this group. And on top of that, like, we've got the FA Cup coming up soon. And depending on what he tries to do again, that could be an early exit again, depending on who we get. So we could be looking at 2 massive trophies that are only left quickly. Do you know what I'm saying? So I just feel like with Ollie, the reality is this. You know, he came into Man United, like Adam said earlier, as, you know, he's just he's okay, cool. Some people say he's a club legend. Others argue the point. But let's say he's a club legend. He's come into the club. He's stabilized the club, and he's done well. That's not what we're arguing about here as a fan base. And yes, he's brought in some good players, and he's also created, in brackets, you know, some type of momentum at the club. And we feel like as a club we're going the right way, because, you know, let's get it right. That is a serious squad that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has right there. But we've just come to the point, like Charlie said, where he's finished. He's done the best he can do. 3rd and 2nd is Ollie's best, and that's great. To be honest, for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to finish 2nd in the Premier League, that's massive. And I'm saying round of applause, but that's the best you can do. We know that. Anything more than this needs an elite manager. You're tricking us to tell us you can do anything more than that. And a lot of people used to say that Poch can't win the league. If Poch comes in, all he's going to do is finish same places as Ollie, 2nd and 3rd, and we get it, cool. But we needed someone to stabilize us after Jose. I would have given it until last season. So for me, it's all on the owners again, because the stabilization of the club has taken place. Ollie finishing 2nd, because the owners were always going to get Varane. We're always going to get Sancho. These are the players that we were going in for. And Ronaldo, again, I don't see these as Ollie buys. Anyone buys Ronaldo
exactly
if he's available, especially at Man United. You know what I'm saying? No matter what coach would have been here or manager, they would have got Ronaldo in. Sancho is a deal that we wanted last year that we didn't get through, but we knew he was going to come this year. And we also needed another defender to play alongside Harry Maguire. And the fact that Varane came at the price that he came at, it was a no-brainer for Man United. So to finish 2nd and to have that window and appoint a world-class manager is a whole different situation that we would be going into. And this is how the club should be moving. It's not about renew. It's about saying to Ollie, you've done well. If you want to move up and be in the boardroom or something, then yeah, come along. We've got a position for you. But you've done the best you can. You've stabilized it. We've got a couple young players in the squad now. We've also got a more experienced squad of experienced players. We need to get someone now who can take it to the next level. And Ollie just can't do that, because we're looking at an elite group of players here who are being coached by individuals who, I keep on saying, I don't think Ollie and his staff could keep I don't know, they couldn't keep Watford up. If they got that Watford job tomorrow, Ollie and his staff, Watford are going down. You know what I'm trying to say?
Quick.
So for him to be at the helm,
the manager was sacked. Watford manager was sacked.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. If they gave Ollie that job with all of his backroom staff now, he wouldn't still keep them in this division. So the reality is, for me, is that we're not even like what we're saying ain't even something which is like outrageous to say that we have a group of elite footballers that need an elite coach. That's what we're saying. Like, we're not trying to make things up or rewrite a handbook. It's just that you have a group of elite players and you don't even have someone who's got a proven pedigree of maybe not winning the big trophies, but like playing a certain type of football and competing with the big teams. Like when Chelsea brought in what's the guy's name from Napoli?
Maurizio Sarri.
Was it Sarri?
The manager?
That was for Chelsea when they brought him in. He hadn't won anything, but he had he had taken Napoli to a certain level in European football. Okay. He was also competing with teams that had much more money than him, and he was showing promise. Do you know what I'm saying? But Ollie hasn't even done that. Ollie hasn't taken anyone anywhere. He only took Cardiff down, and then he went back to Norway, and we don't even know the level of football they're playing over there. So for me, it's like, what the heck is going on over here? And the saddest thing is, Ronaldo's clock's ticking down. We might have only got him for about 2 years, this season and next season.
This is what my next point was going to be. Yeah.
We don't have time.
And that's the thing. That's the thing, Charlie. You know, we don't have time, and that's my problem. A lot of what we're trying to do now, the Ronaldo thing for me sounds like 2-year plan. You know, I just don't see why Man United don't go. And people say all about long-term plan. I don't think Ronaldo's a long-term plan. And then after 2 years, we're going to be going to buy the striker. And then it's like, what we're trying to do? Because if Haaland goes to Man City, he'll be gone. We will not buy it. We'll be not buying a striker. That's for one thing I can for certain next summer. So it's almost as if like the rebuild is for me. I don't understand the rebuild because you're buying Ronaldo. He's staying for 2 years no matter what, and starting, by the way. Even at 38, you will be starting. So you've got to look at it thinking, why not just adopt a manager, maybe like Conte, Zidane, come in, get us back to the level we need of chasing the big ones, and then maybe a kind of a longer term manager comes in and then stabilize it even more. I don't know. I just think for me, what is the plan at Man United? Is it short term, long term? They're not getting any worse, though, are they? City and Liverpool.
Mate.
Yeah, well, it's just the thing is, our squad, if you actually go through it, it's sort of half and half. You know, half you've got De Gea, Pogba, Ronaldo, Cavani, Maguire, Bruno, Varane, 27, 28 plus, and then you obviously got the Rashford, Sancho, Lindelof, Van der Beek, who might be leaving, etc. So you've got it half and half, but there's a lot of players. De Gea, he's obviously shown perhaps he's back to his best early on in the season, but De Gea's only got probably 2 years, 3 years left at some sort of prime level or some sort of very good level. Paul Pogba's probably going to leave. Cavani has probably got 1 year left, 2 years left. Ronaldo's probably got 1.5, 2 years left. Varane has probably got 2 or 3 years left at his prime. You know, this team is ready to win now. There's a few adjustments that we obviously need to make, but there's
Maguire,
no sort of
28, 29.
Yeah, Maguire isn't even Maguire's. I don't even. I'm not a great fan of Maguire, in all honesty. I think a lot of people got a bit carried away at the end of last season. But you're right. This team is ready to win now. And the issue that we've got with Ollie is that I think Adam, if he does get knocked out of the Champions League, I do think he could be in trouble. Whether he'd be sacked, possibly. I hope he would, but I'm not fully sure. But the issue that we've got is that the Glazers are not going to make any really, really sort of fast and dangerous move. It's going to take a lot for Ollie to get sacked. It's going to have to be a long run of games or a very disastrous set of results or a very disastrous run.
What about Liverpool and City? You know, remember Moyes when he got battered by Liverpool and City back to back, and then Andy came out and said,
well, we may well do. I mean, if you watch the Liverpool City game last weekend, you'll see the difference of golfing class between those teams and us. I mean, it's just
scary.
We're not even a team; we're a group of individuals. We're not a proper unit. So yeah, I just don't see. I don't see Ollie being sacked for a little bit. I think it will take quite a lot of pain to make him get sacked. But as you said as well, last season, that second place, I just want to pick up that again. Yeah, he finished second, but obviously Liverpool ended up finishing 5 points behind us, and they had no centre halves for most of the season. And they've got an aging squad, a much average squad, and they've got a very, very poor squad depth, and they still managed to finish third with 69 points. And I think they got to the Champions League. Was it the quarterfinal against Real Madrid that they played? I think it might be.
Yeah, quarterfinals. Yeah.
Yeah, and we got knocked out the group, and we finished 5 points ahead of them. So you could actually say Liverpool had a better season than us in the end. If you actually look at the perspectives, and then obviously Chelsea, new manager, won the Champions League, finished in the top 4 from where they were with Lampard. So people, I don't understand why people back up the coaches as well. Like the response that people come up with is, "Oh, you don't see what happens on the training ground." No, we see what happens on the pitch. What happens on the training ground is reflected on the pitch. That's the whole idea. It's honestly, I don't get why people are just backing them just to back them. Like if somebody isn't fit for purpose or fit for a job, you can just say that. And I just think there's so many people just clinging on to anything they can with Ollie. I don't go on Twitter shouting Ollie out because I don't think it really achieves anything. But Adam will know from a lot of my tweets are quite negative towards Ollie because I'm not a fan of him. I was sort of very skeptical towards the middle to end of last season and obviously the Europa League final. But I don't know what you guys think, but I just don't. I can't see him being sacked for a long, long time. I think December at the earliest. I think there'll be some individual moments that will get him out of trouble. I just think we've got too much of a good squad. If you look at the Villarreal game, we deserve to lose that game, and Ronaldo came.
Yeah, by a couple, yeah.
And if you give those chances to, as much as we laugh at Lukaku, if you give those chances to Lukaku, if you give those chances to Ziyech, Mount, give those chances to Salah, Mane, when we play these top sides, you'll get absolutely punished, mate. You'll get absolutely punished. You'll get beaten. So yeah, unfortunately, of course, I want Man United to win. I want Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to do well. I want us to win, but I just know that he's not going to be good enough. So I don't want us to lose, but it's just a really hard situation to be in because I know that we're not going to do anything, but I still want Man United to do well. But if Man United do well, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will stay and this whole cycle will continue, as you said at the start. So it's a bit of a tough one, mate.
Yeah. Adam, what do you think is on the reckoning for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? Like, in your honest opinion, what do you reckon is in the reckoning for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at the minute? With the games we've got and everything.
I think he's going to struggle the next few games because coming back from an international break, players are not entirely focused, and just coming back from that international break, it will kick on really, really quickly with some serious games. I haven't watched much of Leicester. They didn't have a good start to the season, but they are a good team. They're a good team, and as Charlie said, Jamie Vardy and them, they have players who will punish us. So if we get a draw against Leicester, the pressure is already on. The pressure is already on going into Atalanta. And the thing is, we tend to forget those players are human. They are human. So they are nervous. They will be nervous. They don't want to lose, but they don't have instructions. So we might see another shocking performance in the Champions League after the Leicester game if we don't convincingly win against Leicester. So, and from that moment on, I think just after that, it's after Atalanta, it's Liverpool, I believe, and then Atalanta again.
Atalanta, and then Tottenham.
Exactly, and Liverpool, they will smell the blood, so they will come for us, and we will have a hard time against them, and we really will. And as Charlie said, finished second last season was probably the best he could achieve, but we would have been happy with second place if we could see it. We didn't see second place. Yeah. It doesn't show. We didn't see a team that finished second in the Premier League last season. It's just we don't play well. We just have very, very good players. We have Marcus Rashford who can give you at least 15 goals. Anthony Martial, even if he doesn't score, at least he makes everything click when he plays. Mason Greenwood, I like Greenwood. He's a superstar. We added some Paul Pogba. I think he's one of the world's best midfielder. Bruno scored. So we have quite a lot of.
But we're not seeing any qualities of Adam now. We're not even seeing Greenwood's finishing anymore. We're not seeing Pogba's assist anymore. I think something's just gone wrong.
Because the thing, Pogba playing on the left, people were saying Pogba needs to play on the left. That's his best. That's not his best position, in my opinion. It really isn't. It's just that Marcus Rashford has been very, very poor for 18 months, despite the goals. So now on the left, you put someone who can actually take the ball and pick up a pass and just not trying to dribble past 3, 4, 5 players. So Pogba's performances on the left are more highlighted by Marcus Rashford's poor performances on the left more than they are actually due to Pogba himself. So And then where Marcus Rashford will come back, where does he play Pogba? So now you need to play Pogba in midfield. If you want to play Pogba in midfield, you need to teach the team and coach them how to play with Pogba in midfield, because you want to get the best out of Pogba, not the worst out of Pogba. And as we said on the last show with Musa, we tend to play into every single one of our players' weaknesses. We will play on Pogba's defensive attributes, which are not his best, and that's probably his only weakness. He's strong, he's big, his passing range is stunning, he can dribble, he can do everything on Pogba, except being defensively disciplined, and we play exactly into that. Fred is not physically strong enough, but I think he has some very good attributes to at least be a player that can stay in the squad and give us something. We play him back to goal, so just to make sure he gets bullied, just to make sure. This is exactly playing into Fred's weaknesses. And I cannot McTominay is not really good at passing the ball, and positional sense is not improving. We want to play him as the last report said. We want to play McTominay.
The lone six.
That's outrageous. That is outrageous. Why would you do that? This is, as you say, this is Manchester United Football Club. We need to have a standardized here. And we need to go for the best available players and the best available people in charge. So if we want to play with a lone six, go and look at what the best teams in Europe play in that position. The team that play with the ball in possession, who they play at the basis of a midfield three. They don't play a defensive player. They play someone who is very good and very quick to cover the ground and pick quick passes, someone like Verratti. Verratti has been my dream signing for the last 6 years. And I've been talking about Verratti.
Even Guardiola said it. It's a wonderful player.
He's just a beautiful player. Jorginho, Maurizio Sarri, as you said, Musa, he was at Napoli. And he brought in Jorginho with him because he said, this is the guy I want at the basis of the midfield, not N'Golo Kante. And not because Kante is not a good player. Kante is a very good player. Just doesn't fit the purpose and the attributes required for that very specific position. So why would you train McTominay to play as a lone six? Doesn't add up. Doesn't add up.
You know, Musa, there's a lot of things, you look at the coaching, we can talk about that, but even now on the pitch, a lot of people saying that Ronaldo's hindering us and this and that, but in reality, for me, I look at a player like Ronaldo. Would teams complain about Ronaldo? I'm not sure. And I think that only comes when other things are happening. When you have other problems, that becomes the problem, when in reality it shouldn't be. I look at Sancho's form. There's a lot of things I looked at when I look at Old Trafford, and maybe Charlie can vouch for it, but I see Sancho trying to pick up the ball from the halfway line, and everyone's assuming that he's going to take 3 or 4 man on, and I'm thinking, that's not his game. I see McTominay hiding away from the ball, but again, I'm thinking, is it lambs to the slaughter? Is he that player? I think Michael Carragher heard about in the Athletic, apparently, they're looking to play him as a 6, and they want to make him and they want to trade him, but he's 24 now. Do you learn them things at that age? I'm not sure. You know what I mean? It's like they say, can you teach a new dog old tricks? It's one of them things, isn't it? I look at him most, and I think even the players are suffering right now. Mason Greenwood, when's the last goal he scored was Wolves? I just don't see improving on the pitch, Musa. I don't.
No, I don't, man. I think you can't complain about Ronaldo because he's Serie A's top goal scorer last season. He's what, 5 in 5 here. Ronaldo's not someone. How can you just create systems for it to work? Because Ronaldo, if he went to Man City, bro, and he done that 5 in 5, City will be in a whole different. Ronaldo will be 10 in 5 if he went to City, bro.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? He'll be on different type of goals because of you've seen the opportunities they've been creating even against Liverpool, and there's no one to pull it in the back of the net. So Ronaldo, that's a no-brainer. You just have systems of plays that these players fit in, and they do well, and you just keep it moving. So I just feel like Oli is a big-time fraud. I've been also looking at the youth that Oli's brought into the club, and I was thinking, who has Oli actually brought in through the youth system? Because you see people like Palestri. Palestri was playing good in pre-season. You see how good he was playing in pre-season, and then he went out. Who?
Elanga, I'm thinking Elanga. He's brought in Elanga.
But these are not. They're not starters. They're not in the squad. These are not people that's even in match day squads like that.
Yeah,
true, you know what I mean? People that he's found in there. Who is he brought in from the youth system that's in the match day squad, like a Greenwood, Rashford, who else? McTominay. All of these players, he found them there. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Who is he brought in? That's that's from that youth setup.
But then
that's
they
on the
need to be
bench.
coached, though, don't they? They need to be coached, and
This is what I'm trying to say.
The best coaching setup for that.
Exactly.
And this is where we go again. Oli, in terms of where he's at and what he's doing, he's just not capable. And I think Oli gets sacked, to be honest, because I just keep on saying that he was only safe last season, guys, because there was no one in the stadium. We were all complaining from home. The Glazers had no pressure. There was no one. There weren't 60, 70,000 at Old Trafford putting him under pressure. You can't. If Oli, imagine we get slapped by Liverpool, something like 3-0. Losing to Liverpool 3-0 is like losing 3 games in a row to United fans. That's just too much. Then you go to City and get slapped again. And I mean, like, losing is one thing, but losing in a manner where you can just see that the coach is far superior than the other coach. And it's got nothing to do with the players, because when we line up down the tunnel against these teams, we hold our own. When they're looking over and they're looking at Bruno, Ronaldo, Pogba, all of these players, we hold our own when it comes to player for player. But as soon as the systems go head to head, we see where there's just so much freestyling. Bruno's been playing as a 6 in some games. Have you seen him coming back and tackling, and then next minute he's on the right? He's just doing anything that he wants to do. And this is the same thing we said last time, where last season Bruno gave away, I think, a penalty and a couple free kicks around the box. And that's because he was playing so deep. And that's the same thing Adam was talking about when we play to our players' frailties, in terms of if Pogba's was playing as a 8/10 before we got Bruno, and he had the most assists, most goals, most distance covered, he was our main man. So obviously Bruno's an 8. I mean, Pogba can play an 8 or a 10, and if he's forced to, he'll sit in a 2, but that's not his thing. It's exactly the same as Bruno. If you bring Bruno back and make him play Pogba's position, we're going to have the same problems that we have with Pogba, because he's going to play good sometimes in that position because he can pass the ball and he can play well. But there's going to be other times where he's going to get tackled on the ball, or he's going to lose it. And we're just going to be like, oh, Bruno, because that's not his position. That's not where he should be playing. And these are the problems that we have. So for me, when I look at the system that Oli keeps on, sticking with, and then also trying to make McTominay, he's Roy Keane, or he's flipping a number 6. How can McTominay be that person? And when we talk about players like Verratti and Jorginho, for me, these are not big players. These are not big stats. These are small individual players, like small players who can turn on the ball, got good control, can release the ball. Like, if you wanted to work on anyone who's come from an academy that plays total football, why haven't they worked on Van der Beek, who actually played it in the youth system, in his youth setup? He's like, I've actually played this system. Yeah. If you guys think I'm not big enough, well, let me get on the weights and let's work on it on the training ground, and let me get out there. Because all Van der Beek has to do, in all honesty, even though he is a good tackler, is get the ball off the back and just make sure it goes forward, and just to get him positionally in the right positions. It's not like the 6th position. It's difficult if you're an individual who it's your natural instinct is just to attack. So you're always going to leave out that position. But if you're clever enough to be like, okay, cool, I'm going to hold, this is where I'm going to stay, I'm not going to move from here, it's not that difficult. That's why we had Ryan Giggs play there. We had Paul Scholes end up playing there. A load of our players, when they got old, sat back in that position and played it well. Remember when Giggs used to be our 6? And he used to play well in that position. Because the position
when
you
used to play there, big games as well.
Big games, and he used to boss it, because when you get older and you can't cover the distance anymore, but you've got a football brain about you, and you're getting the ball and picking it up and pinging it left, right, and you can do that, and you can also position yourself, tackling like Jorginho and these type of players. They're not big tacklers. It's not always a Makelele role or a like a Kante role. It's not always that. Do you know what I'm trying to say? You can play it differently. So for me, again, it's about systems and looking at Oli, and I'm just thinking to myself, if we lose, or if we don't beat, we don't even have to lose. If we don't beat Leicester and don't beat Atalanta, and then we lose to Liverpool, we're going to be looking at, again, something like 2 points. Yeah, because how many points have we picked up in our last couple games so far? In the last 5, 6?
I think so far we have 14 points out of 21 in the Premier League, which is not good enough.
Yeah. In our last 9 points, how many games have we won in the league? Because the last three games, because
last game
the
was
last
West Ham we won.
West Ham.
Last game we won was
we lost to Villa. Yeah. We lost to Villa. Everton, beat West Ham. Yeah, so 4 out of 9.
Shocking.
1 minute, guys. I'm just gonna have to step out once.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah. I think Musa is spot on there, Saeed. Because as my dad always tells me the same thing. If we going back to the point he said about when the players are in the tunnel, we hold our own with the quality of players we have. My dad always tell me the same thing. If we put our team, our players on a beach, just playing football against any team in the Premier League, just no ground, no stadium, no coaching, just playing football in a park or on the beach, we smash probably every single team in the league, just because of the sheer quality of players we have. If you take away the coaching aspect, we beat probably almost every team in the league because we have the squad depth and the quality and many different profile of players. So if you're not going to coach the team, at least put the intelligent players together. Play Donny van de Beek, play Martial, play Mata, play Matic, play Sancho, play Ronaldo. Play the intelligent players if you're not going to coach them, because you cannot have only the players who are very, very reliant on the team creating space for them, and they are not able to do it themselves. Bruno's a very good player, but you need to play into Bruno's strength. You need to create space. Marcus Rashford, he's not my favorite player, but people think he's a very good player. Marcus Rashford is a very good player, but you need to create space for him. But if you're not going to do that in a tactical way, where you're way better off with Martial, Jadon Sancho, Donny van de Beek, Mata, Matic, and Ronaldo and Pogba. At least you get the players who are on the same wavelength, and they'll figure it out themselves. But the way we play at the moment, we just don't put the right players together. If we are considering the fact that there is no coaching at the club, system is very, very important. Coaching is it has become so important now. As Musa said, the number 6 position. That position is very, very, very relying on the system, because one man cannot defend an entire midfield. It's just not physically impossible, no matter how old, how young, how quick, how strong you are. You can put Casemiro, you can put Ndidi, you can put Rice, you can put whoever you want at the basis of our midfield. That player will not be able to defend the entire midfield, because we will have such a gap between our forwards and our number 8s or our number 10 and the rest. One player cannot hold the entire length of a midfield. It's not possible. So, and if you take a look at all the very good, effective 4-3-3 sides, the player at the basis of the midfield is not a defensive type of player. Someone that plays with the midfielders and the fullback as units. They press together. That player gets the ball, quickly moves it. It's not about defending, because the defending is done as a whole, as a unit, as a group. You do not have Fernandinho doing the defending. Fernandinho picks the ball and quickly moves it to De Bruyne on the right. De Bruyne quickly moves it to the side or to the. It's a system thing. It's a system. So we can train McTominay all we want. If we do not coach the entire team, there's absolutely no purpose.
It's and that's a damning thing, Charlie. When you look at the run of fixtures and whatnot, and when you assess it, does it feel like the like previously before, when remember Everton game, we came back, does it feel like that too? Because for me, it don't feel like it. Even with that Everton one, I think it was just more of a case of bit of consistency. We're on a bad run. It was a little bit of a tough patch, but we always had that win. I just feel like, for me, the level of performance this season has been not very good, and it's almost like been like Mourinho-esque, where it's kind of been like disheartening to watch, really. Does it feel like it will change for you in your honesty?
Well, no, because if you're playing a 38 game season and you want to win a title, you need 20. You probably need about 25 good performances or decent performances, and of those 25 games, you might win however many you win, and then the other 13 games, you might not play so well, you might lose a couple, but you might need to grind out a few wins. But the issue with us is the Leeds game is the only game for me where it was sort of an 8 out of 10 or above in terms of performance.
Yeah,
I think Newcastle was average to good. I think Newcastle was maybe 6.5, 7, whatever, 6, whatever you want to say. But then all the other games are sort of, West Ham away was probably the next best, and then all the other games are sort of average to poor, or even very, very poor. And that isn't good enough for the quality of players that we have. Like, it's just not good enough. And I just don't see any way, especially in these big games, if you don't play well as a team, as Adam spoke very well about the coaching, the system, the team, we're going to be coming up against a Chelsea team who allows so few spaces between their players that we are going to, our heavy reliance on sort of those individual moments are going to be lacking so much. We might get 1 or 2 shots and that is it. And that's not good enough. And we won't change the way we play to allow us to be more on the front foot because we just haven't seen it. We don't dominate games. Although we have 60% possession against a lot of teams, a lot of that possession is not dangerous territory. A lot of that is passing between the back line. Even if it is in dangerous positions, players try and take too many players on, or they rush the shot, or they're too greedy, and we don't build up from side to side, moving the opposition around and really looking for those openings. But I think we've seen this season, and it's no coincidence. And I'm a big fan of Matic. When the Nemanja Matic plays, we are so much better. It's unbelievable how much better. Every time Matic plays, we other than the Southampton game away, which was horrific, which everybody was very, very poor on that day, I think, apart from maybe De Gea. But when Matic plays, those passes between the lines are just so vital for us. And we can talk about lack of system, of course we can. But if we're picking a team, and if we're picking player A ahead of player B or X or Y, and we're looking to pick who we want to pick, if you actually watch Matic, the impact he makes when he comes on as well is stellar. Although he should actually start, I think Ollie, this McFred's going to lose his job. I just don't know why. Well, I know why, to cover the spaces, because we leave so many spaces. I think we.
But would he do that though? Would you think he would do that? Because for me, I just look at it thinking he'll play McTominay and Pogba, and then he'll play Sancho on the left, Greenwood on the right, Ronaldo up top, and then maybe do like that. I just don't see him.
The issue is in these big games, we talked about we can't criticize Ronaldo. Ronaldo's biggest weakness is off the ball defensively. He doesn't offer, he doesn't press. But the issue is, what's the point of pressing? We talked about pressing as a unit. Cavani and Bruno press a lot more than any of our other attackers. Dan James did as well, but obviously he's left now, and that was his best attribute probably, which says a lot about Dan James. Although I think he's actually a decent player and do well at Leeds, but not good enough for us. But like Ronaldo doesn't press. And you could say that's good and bad. It's bad because obviously we want to press from the front. We want to win the ball back. But it's also good because what's the point of wasting a 36-year-old man's legs pressing when the whole unit isn't pressing together? But the issue that we've got, as you said, Said, when we play these big games, Rashford will definitely come back. Greenwood, Ollie loves Greenwood. Ollie will probably pick Greenwood ahead of Sancho at the moment on form and on what Ollie wants. So we've basically got 4 forwards in those four positions. We've got Bruno, who often acts as like a false 9. We've got Rashford, Greenwood, and Ronaldo. So how are we supposed to work properly as a unit when we've basically got 4 forwards and nobody like Martial or Sancho who are less risk takers? They'll look to build up a little bit slower and look to find the best pass rather than rushing it. So I just don't. I think you are right though. It will be Pogba in a pivot with McTominay or Fred, but I just don't see how it's going to work in big games. We 4 forwards in that. It's going to be Rashford, Bruno, Greenwood, and Ronaldo. It's just not going to be good. Too many forwards. Not enough creative players.
And I think that's the reality of what's going to become. Adam. It's going to be a tricky period. I think the writing's on the wall. Adam, I just don't see how he comes out of this because I've been at Old Trafford and I've seen it live. And players have been hiding off the ball. There's been no build-up play. There's a lot of waiting around. It's it's literally like I've never seen it like this in a long, long while. Well, I have seen it, but not to this level and how bad it is.
Yes, exactly. And the thing that I don't understand, and we touched on the last show, this is not new. You've been calling it for a long time, and I've been saying it for a long time. I didn't want Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to get the job in the first place because I was still to make my mind, and I didn't agree with what I was saying. And people are overnight saying that they don't see a pattern of play, that we are relying on individuals overnight, like after 6-7 games. It has always been like that. And people were saying back then, oh, you need to give Ole time. You need to give him. The one thing that just used to do my head in is we need to give Ole his players. You cannot judge him without him getting his players. But we're talking about a manager that in his career never had the quality of player. Like he never had a player as good as McTominay and Pereira because he was at Cardiff and he was in Molde. So even players like Pereira, Lingard, McTominay, Dan James, he never had players that good. in his career. So if he had an identity and a style of play and he was in charge of the coaching, even with those more limited players, we would have been able to see something, a pattern, and then you say, you know what, I see what he's doing, and maybe you need someone better than Pereira in that position. Maybe you need someone better than, for example, I don't know who in that position, McTominay, and then you say maybe Solskjaer needs his play. He never had that quality of player ever, and we couldn't see a pattern, we couldn't see an identity, nothing. It's not like Jose. You know the players Jose like. You know how he wants to set up his team. For example, you can see a player and you say, this is a player that Pep Guardiola would love. This is a player that Jurgen Klopp would love. This is a player that Maurizio Sarri would love. You can see it and you can say, like, this is a Guardiola type. You can't say that with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So, as we said, Saeed, at Old Trafford, you've been to Old Trafford since the beginning of this. The performances have been poor, but they have always been poor. But now it's highlighted by the fact that they are absolutely stunning amount of quality within
Yes, yes.
We cannot be this poor with this quality of a squad. It's too much. It really is too much.
Yeah. Just as we wrap up the podcast, Musa, I want to get your closing thoughts. Will it get any better for you? No. Will it get any better?
I think because we've got individuals who are better than what we had last season, like we said earlier, those individual moments might happen a bit more because we're yet to see like an individual moment from Sancho. So if Sancho turns it on and just wins us a game, then the fans are gonna go, "Nat Sancho has arrived. He's here." The media, blah blah. Then we get giddy for a couple games. Then the reality of the system kicks in again. Do you know what I'm saying? We haven't had that. We haven't had Rashford come back and give us those moments. So I think those moments are going to come. And as fans, we're gassed. There's no way Sancho scores a winning goal against City and we don't get excited. We're fans, innit? We support the team.
It's written. It's written, though. Yeah. It's written.
So those things there have us excited for until the next game. So that's a whole week. Ollie just in the clear. Do you know what I'm saying? So then we kind of forget. But as an overall, just looking at it in any walk of life, having a manager of an elite organization with an elite group of people underneath his care, and he's put in place to manage these individuals who are the best of their positions. We're talking about the best midfielders in the world. You know what I mean? So this is like you working for a firm. They're giving you the best in IT, the best in this, the best. It's not someone who's just good. We're giving you like Pogba, the best in his position, Ronaldo, David De Gea. Like you're talking about, you're having like some of the best, professionals in their position in the world, and then you're not even in the top 20 managers in the world, bro. The brother's not even like, he's not even a Premiership manager. No. That's the reality. Like, Ollie has to be a manager who goes into the Championship, brings a team up and says, look, guys, I belong here. He's not even a Premiership manager. So we're dealing with someone who has to govern over that. I don't see long-term success with that. I don't. Do you know what I'm saying? Because it's the same thing as what's been happening is he's been given work experience on the job. So if we give him a long enough time to actually work things out, he might actually win something, but that's just something that will happen gradually over time. And even then, that's not, you know what I'm saying? It's not flipping. It's not like, it's not guaranteed. So for me, I don't see it.
You know how I examine that? It's like when you go on a treasure hunt and everyone's gone on the same time. And then, you get your prize at the end, but everyone's already done it. You know what I mean? Everyone's already got.
That's it.
That's for me how I see with Ollie.
I know
it's a long term. Yeah. Go on.
You have to look at it, and earlier there was a point I was going to touch on. I said that look at Chelsea, bro. This is a period of time where Klopp and Pep Guardiola have taken the Premiership by storm, and everyone's thinking, how does any other team have an opportunity to win major honours in this league when you have two of the world's best managers in here doing bits? But Chelsea stick to their process. They give you 2 years. You don't do the business, you're out the door. And within that process, what do they go and do? They go and become European champions. and now they're fighting for the Premiership title with these same two massive managers in the league.
Exactly.
How have they done it? And here we are, going on to 10 years, nothing to show for it. So my thing is that it can be done, no matter how big the managers are, and Klopp and Pep and the style of football and, you know, prolific winners. Yes, but within those periods of time, there's always rebuilding teams. And when you're rebuilding a team, teams like us should have been ready to pounce, because there's been times in this league where Liverpool are not yet there, or City have just fallen off. And it's time for a team like us, who's been building in the background, to just pounce and win the league, pounce and win the Champions League. And then, because Man United with a Champions League trophy, we have a different level of patience, because we can relax and say, oh, we're European champions. At least we won, you know what I'm saying? We can kind of relax a bit more. But the fact we haven't won anything, we cannot relax, bro. I can't, unless I see a trophy. I'm not even too sure FA Cups and all of that do it for me right now, to be honest.
That's how bad it's gone.
I'm not too sure about that, if those cups do it. The domestic cups,
especially with the team we've got, man. I don't think Ronaldo.
I don't mind, because domestic cups are nice. We all love a domestic cup, a fish and chips, a curry, but man needs some Italian, you know what I mean? I need some European. I need some, you know what I mean? Some Spanish and I need something different. I need something different. It's not enough. It's not like, it's okay to win a domestic, but we need some feng shui in this, bro. We need a European title. We need something. Like, I can't. No. For me,
those domestic cups, they become really important when you are champions of Europe and champions of England.
Yeah, of course. It's a top up, innit? It's a top up on a voucher.
That becomes just a demonstration of dominance. Like, like we are very strong. We won the league, and we added cups to that. And you know what? Just before we close up, Musa, I think you touched on a very good point. They went to Chelsea and they got Thomas Tuchel, because Thomas Tuchel is very, very, very competent. And for once, we need to go and get competent people, because now people talk about Conte, talk about Zidane. Conte is a very good manager, don't get me wrong. I think Conte is a top draw manager. But we need to be ahead of the curve. If you take a look at it, the top managers in the world, they're all from German systems. They're all from the Red Bull Academy. So they're all related to Ralf Rangnick, and they all come from that counter press. They are very flexible, and they are very, very competent. Just take a look at the last European champions. Thomas Tuchel, Jurgen Klopp, Hansi Flick, they're all German managers. And for example, getting Pochettino at this moment in time would be 6 years too late. Would be going back to is not the way forward. For once, we need to be that team that makes the appointment, that surprises everybody, because we know that this guy is the next big thing. Many of us, Statman, for example, we wanted Nagelsmann for some time. People say, what has he won? What has he won with RB Leipzig? And then Bayern Munich got him. And then we complain because we don't have the same structure as Bayern Munich. We want a 50+1% owned by the fans. We want football people at board level, just like Bayern Munich. And they went and they got Julian Nagelsmann, who our fan base considered not good enough. I wanted Marco Rose for a long time. I think he's just a great, great manager. And he won everything with RB Salzburg, I think, in Austria. And then he went to Mönchengladbach, who hadn't qualified in the Champions League ever in the history. They hadn't qualified in the Champions League for a very, very long time. He got them into fighting for the title for the Bundesliga. After Christmas, Mönchengladbach was still in the race for the Bundesliga after only one season with Marco Rose. And then people were telling me on Twitter, who is Marco Rose? What has he won? This, that. And then he gets the Borussia Dortmund job. And just look at Dortmund in the Champions League. They will be a very, very strong team, and they will be very, very exciting to watch. Next thing you know, Chelsea gets Marco Rose in 2 years' time when Thomas Tuchel wins them a Premier League and then gets sacked, because that is the level. And we should be for a team to get that next manager. And another thing, managers, for Sir Alex Ferguson and Arsene Wenger, they spent 20+ years at top clubs, but they were exceptions within their own respective eras. That just doesn't happen. The only time you get a manager staying more than 5-6 years at a club is, for example, Burnley, West Ham, mid-table club. The expectations are not the same. But all the best clubs in the world and the well-run club in the world, managers never spent more than 4 years, 5 years at best, if he keeps on winning, like Pep, like Klopp maybe. But every club in world football that is well-run gets the manager out. Barcelona and Bayern Munich got their manager out after winning the treble. With Luis Enrique.
Exactly. What does that say to you, Adam? What does that say?
Standards.
Exactly. we're going to wrap up the podcast here. It's been a very, very, you know what I mean, therapeutic hour of speaking about United. Again, you know what I mean? This is it, man. The Unfiltered podcast 2. Hopefully this will be a weekly show. Hopefully we'll try and bring it every Wednesday. And then we'll get it to you guys around about 10 p.m. Well, you are watching it now, so we'll get it to you then. But make sure you like the video, people. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please smash a like on the video. Also subscribe to the channel and make sure you follow these guys. Adam, where can they find you first?
On Twitter at AdamManRed.
Big up, man. Big up for coming on.
Thank you.
Charlie, thanks for coming on, man. Hopefully you can come on again. Where can they find you, man?
Twitter, mate. Thanks a lot for having me on. And just got my handle there, Threadman Chazza. So just follow me on Twitter and I'll give you a follow back.
Yeah, make sure you go follow him, Threadman Chazza on there. And also, Musa, where can they follow you?
Guys, you know where to find me. Mostly just Resole, CIC, the work that we're doing online, Instagram.
Yeah, man. Make sure you go follow people. And yeah, international break. We thought we'd give you a podcast and hope you've enjoyed it. Man United, you know what I mean? It's not great in a minute. And we'll see where this takes us, man. It's going to be a long, long road ahead. But for now, people, like the video, subscribe to Sai TV. We're out. Take care.